This video is sponsored by Kershaw, Next Level Pocket Knives. Use discount code 20archery23 for 20% off at kershawknives.com. Hey Archery Talk, this is Lucas, and today I've got my long-term review of the Mathews Phase4 29. I've had this bow in for testing for 7 or 8 months now in preparation for this review and the shootout that's going to follow. And if you just looked at the specs, you'd be forgiven if you thought this was really pretty much the same bow as the V3X29 I tested last year. On paper, they are pretty much identical. They both have a 29-inch axle-to-axle length, a 6-inch brace height, a 340 foot per second IBO speed rating, the same CrossCentric cams, the same bridge lock sight technology, and they even have the same 33-inch long Big Brother bows to kind of go with them. But what Mathews did differently this year was all about the limbs. These Phase 4 limbs have this new dampening technology built in. So in rudimentary terms, Mathews basically went from a 4-limb bow to an 8-limb bow. So each of these limbs here is actually 2 pieces sandwiching in that dampening material to further quiet things down and just make sure there's as little noise and vibration as possible. And it does really work exceptionally well. This bow is nutty quiet. It is virtually dead in the hand after the shot. It is about as good as you're going to get for that kind of feel and quietness, if that's what you're looking for. It should be said that the V3X29 I shot last year was probably the quietest bow I shot all of last year. So it's not like it's a leaps and bounds different, but it's a small difference. It's noticeable, and Mathews has somehow cornered the market on quiet and vibration-free bows. They do it as well or better than anybody else, and the the Phase 4 rather really kind of shows that Mathews technology at its finest. So there's more new than just the limbs. Mathews had this new bridge lock stabilizer now. So much like the bridge lock sight, the stabilizer now mounts inside the bow, and it's adjustable. So it lets you have a modular system for your bow here. So you can bring the stabilizer in or out, and you can lock it down just like that, and it works as well as you would hope it to be. These come in a variety of different lengths. I think I've got the 8-inch here, but I think there's 10 and 12 and possibly even longer, and I suspect the aftermarket will be kind of coming out with their own versions of these stabilizers that fit in the bridge lock system in the near future. An accessory VBar mount is also available this year. Now, I don't have that set up on this particular bow. I didn't have a chance to get one of those. I'm hoping in future years I'll be able to have a chance to get that in and test it. But just know that there's another option you can get that was not available last year on the V3X29. Now, I guess let's get down to the nitty-gritty. How does this bow shoot? And let's start with draw cycle. For me, that's always the most important part of a bow. If I don't like how it draws and I'm not comfortable with how it draws, I'm probably not going to want to shoot it all that often. And this bow definitely hits a home run in that regard. I've long been a fan of how the CrossCentric cams feel on bows. Really since the days of the Triax, I've just found those Mathews bows are super linear and super smooth. And this is no exception. This bow actually won my draw cycle comparison video. You can go check that out for yourselves if you're interested. Just in a very edged out one of the other bows. We'll talk about that in another video. But yeah, this bow draws as well as you would expect from any Mathews bow. Like prior year Mathews bows, the Phase 4 relies on cable stops. So when you get to the wall, you are met with, it's relatively firm, but there is definitely some give, which is kind of my preferred feel of a bow. I don't really love limb stops as much as a lot of other shooters. I like to be able to kind of pull through my shot, and I find the cable stops helps me do that. So no complaints with how this bow feels once you're at full draw. And stability-wise, again, the bow holds on target fairly well. Keep in mind this is a 29-inch bow, so the 33-inch would probably offer me a little bit more of a stable feel personally, but maybe that's more in my head. I'm a taller guy. I got a longer draw length, so that 33-inch bow is probably more designed for someone like me. But if you're 28-inch draw length or 27-inch draw length, this 29-inch bow would probably be right up your alley. It shoots great. It's definitely better than I am. I would probably feel a touch more comfortable with a slightly longer bow, but I'm picking nits here. There's you're not going to have any accuracy issues with this bow as long as you're doing your job. To test for speed, I set up the Phase 4 with 70 pounds of draw weight and 30 inches of draw length. I did that using 29.5-inch mods, so you can get this bow to about a 30.5 inches of draw length with those 30-inch mods. And with a 350 grain arrow, I had an average speed of 326 feet per second. And with a heavier 499 grain arrow, I had a speed of 277 feet per second. I think if you went to the 30-inch mods to get you to 30.5 inches of draw length, you'd probably get about 5 feet a second more on each of those numbers, so just keep that in mind. This is not the fastest bow I tested this year by any means, but it's certainly not a slouch. Again, it came in for me about 14 feet a second under its rated speed, which is not ideal, but it's not abnormal either. Next, we're going to look at fit and finish. And I've been a big fan of the Mathews longer risers over the years. I quite like their kind of neutral, muted color schemes like this one here. I do think they have a kind of like an olive or military green one, which I like a lot as well. And I found in prior years that it's kind of like a textured material, and sometimes it can show scratches fairly easily, but I've had this bow a long time and I'm not seeing anything like that at all. So realistically, fit and finish is perfect for me so far. The only issue I'm seeing is actually on that new stabilizer. Because it's going inside the riser, I think it's kind of scratching this matte black material a little bit. Again, that's really not a big deal for me. If you're bothered by that, that's on you. But for me, I could deal with a couple little scratches on the top of my matte painted or matte treated stabilizer bars. Bottom line is, if you're looking for a compact, ultra smooth drawing bow, the Mathews Phase4 29 is well worth checking out. Go to your local Mathews dealer and take one for a spin.